So that's what I think, something I love about coaching. In fact, when I said 8 o'clock, so today morning at 8 o'clock, I was actually getting my training done for my ACC recertification. So, yeah.
Renewal of that, yeah. Okay.
Yes, yes. So I got certified in 2018. So the renewal is going to happen now.
Yeah, 2021, 3 years it is, yeah.
Yes.
Thank you, Jitendra. Anyone else would like to add one more response?
Deepak, in fact, I'm not professionally qualified, but yes, I got 40 years of corporate experience dealing with CXOs and CEOs.
Right.
It helped me to connect with people and understand different perspective of the issues, and also do the learning and sharing together.
Right.
For the betterment of the society, and see as to how we can add value to their individual as well as organizational perspective.
Right.
And, so this is the objective.
Wonderful, Deepak. And I think, when we have run our programs at Shanimos, we have noticed a whole lot of HR consultants, the way you operate, have come in. And when they've gone through this program, which runs for, I'll talk about it later, 60 hours, they have realized that they can actually make their consulting practice more sharper and better by being a coach as well.
Yes,
apart from opening up a new opportunity as a coach, but the consulting practice itself, the way you ask questions, frame problems for people, become much more effective. So thank you, Deepak. So what I hear you both saying, Jitendra and Deepak, is that either you want to deepening your understanding about this practice, or maybe like to grow your practice, or become a more certified credentialed coach to be able to add value to your client base better. Yeah.
Sure.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you.
And as we go forward, while I'll hand over to Chintan to take you through this whole webinar, if you have any questions, you can keep dropping them in the chat box. And if Chintan doesn't address it during his conversation in the next 30 minutes, we will certainly address it at the end of the session. Is that fine with all of you? Yeah. Thank you. So all Chintan, yours now.
Thank you, Deepak. So let me begin with acknowledging Jitendra's points around being an internal coach, and so that's how I started, Jitendra, as well. I being in a corporate, I got my ACC in 2012, and then what this particular skill has helped me do is manage my stakeholders much better. Every time I used to sit with my stakeholder, my senior level guys, and they have a certain aspiration or they have a certain goal in the beginning of the year. The coaching process, the questioning had helped me narrow down and help them create a very smart vision, smart goals for them. So absolutely, it's a big skill even for internal coaches, and it has worked wonders. And I know a lot of people who have benefited from the internal coaching, and an external coaching we know is a very rewarding career. So what I have today is some data that I have picked up from ICF itself. So ICF is my credentialing body, and I wanted to refer to some of the reports they have published. While we have very specific, very small amount of data present on the slide, happy to share more. If you think that you would want to do a deep dive using the report, do let Deepak or me know. We will share those reports with you. Let me begin with the definition of coaching by ICF. Now, some of you may be well aware of what is the difference between coaching, counseling, mentoring, training. Some of us may not be so clear. So the way ICF defines coaching is, the first part of the definition is it's a partnering process. It's a process where the coach and the client both are 50-50. They are partners in this relationship, and they work towards a very thought-provoking creative process. Now, what is thought-provoking and creative? Creative is you as a coach, you let the client decide the course of the action. So there is no, while there is a structure to the process, it is still very creative and it can go in any tangent. It is thought-provoking, which means you go, the aim of the coach is to create more thoughts, clear them, and help them get clarity for the client in terms of what is the client really want to achieve in one conversation or in the coaching relationship. If this is done aptly, it becomes very inspiring, and hence it leads to maximizing personal and professional potential. So coaching is basically a partnering process where two individuals, and in a team coaching environment, the coach and the team, they work towards focusing on the potential, something that may be untapped, something that the client may or may not be aware. So I think it's very powerful the way it has been defined. It focuses on imagination, productivity, leadership, which may be tapped, and in a lot of cases in our experience, untapped. A lot of clients are not even aware of what is it that their potential was. So that is something that the coaching helps us, untap. One of the most important aspects of coaching is it is an acquired skill. When I say an acquired skill, few years ago or many years ago, the process of intellectual development was very restricted. It was only thought to be a trainer's job, or if there is an intellectual aspect that needs to be addressed, then maybe a psychologist comes into play. But coaching, because of its forward-looking view, because of its forward-looking process, it is companies and corporates have started using coaching in a variety of manners, variety of degrees, and not just limited to one-on-one development conversations. While it is used extensively in development, it could now be used in assessing candidatures. It could be used in succession planning, so on and so forth. So coaching is, the first point that I want to drive here is it is an acquired skill. Let's look at some of the data that ICF published. So 91% of the coaches worldwide, or coaching practitioners worldwide, are around 38 years or above. More than 50% of this group were between the 40 to 55 year age group. And there are about 9% population which is less than 38 years old, with an increasing trend of younger generation picking up this skill more and more now. And that, I think, is a testimony to the amount of data that is going in the market, the understanding of coaching as a skill itself, how transformative the skill is itself. What is also interesting to note is worldwide, there is increasing, this skill is being absorbed by the female coaches, which has moved from 66 to 69%. So there are many more female coaches registered with ICF than it was a few years ago. So coaching is an acquired skill. It can be used in a variety of ways within the organization or with individual people. And the age bracket, the stereotype that used to exist that coaching is only for very senior people, is starting to break. The stereotype is starting to break. Anybody can coach and anybody can be coached is gradually becoming acceptable. Very recently, ICF released some very interesting data, and they call it post-pandemic view of, and they conducted a survey with practitioners, not necessarily who were registered with ICF, but they also got practitioners who were not registered with ICF. There's another body internationally called EMCC, which is primarily Europe and UK based. So they invited coaching professionals worldwide to participate in a survey. And the next few slides or next few data points that I have are primarily from that particular report. This is where I get into the core of the subject of how coaching becomes, a skill that could be rewarding, and it could be a career in itself. So let's first talk about the services. So one of the questions that was asked in this survey was, of the participant, which group or which skill they saw that they continued, that started, or that stopped. And as you can see in the report, this is as of 2020. Okay, so the data was released in 2020. We can see that coaching as a skill was the highest in terms of reported skill that is being practiced by the practitioners, and 89% of the participants reported that it continued even during and after the pandemic. In fact, there is a certain group of people who said that now they have started doing or offering coaching as a skill, and very few people said that it actually went into a non-monetary mode. And this was, again, just to highlight, this was something that was reported as the highest skill, which in terms of people absorbing it and offering it nowadays. When we dig the data a little deeper, obviously, because of the pandemic COVID situation, the in-person coaching took a massive hit, which is about 82% of participants reported that it took a hit. However, what it brought in was an interesting opportunity for people to offer it through the audio video platform. And since pandemic has hit us, there are so many new platforms that have hit. Zoom, MS Teams, Google Meets being the most common. But it has increased opportunities for people to offer audio coaching through audio video mechanism. What this has helped coaches do is, with this change in format, with acceptability of coaching through the virtual medium, it has opened doors worldwide. So I know of a lot of credentialed coaches in India who have now started offering coaching to international clientele sitting through their home, which in the past was not so widely accepted. You may be aware that an ICF credentialed coach in India is an ICF credentialed coach worldwide, or an ICF credentialed coach US is the same as, so the credibility of these two coaches is exactly the same. And with this change in format, all the world has now opened up for practitioners from India, from Asia, from world to reach out to each other through different platforms, including Facebook and LinkedIn, which has been heavily leveraged for offering coaching skills. When we dig deeper in using the AV platform, the specific question was asked is, do people see this as a change? And worldwide, you can see the data in front of you, more than 80% across the world reported that they saw AV to be used increasingly, and majority of this, upwards of 60 to 65% participants believe that this trend will continue. So coaching will find its new form in the virtual environment more and more, with more and more people accepting virtual mode of coaching. How does this help the client? The client gets access to the coach and can do a coaching during the day, and the client does not have to necessarily specifically book time over and over for travel, for other engagements, because usually otherwise the coaching used to happen at a very neutral place, outside of a coffee place, a cafe, etc. Now those requirements have gone. What it has also opened up an opportunity to reduce cost, which means the travel time, international travel, domestic travel, etc. has reduced. So the platform has provided multiple opportunities, and it is increasingly becoming acceptable. Next, when we speak of, so the next, one of the interesting questions that was asked was profitability and continuity of coaching as a service. And majority of the participants, again, as you can see, were confident, upwards of 60% were very confident, somewhat confident that of having their own coaching practice post-pandemic, because they saw increase in the take and the ask for coaching. What has happened, and some of you who are in the corporate world would have noticed, that the amount of conversation between people have reduced, which means in the past, when senior leaders or mid-management leaders who were usually takers of coaching services have don't have enough conversations with their colleagues, and hence they need somebody to speak to, and that is where coaches, credentialed coaches, have started to come in now. What it has also helped is increase profitability for credential coaches and worldwide. So again, the data says that upwards of 55 to 60% people are saying that it will continue to provide profits to their business. Yes, the T&E has reduced, travel and entertainment cost has reduced. So more than 65% of the survey participants indicated that their profits would continue to increase in this manner. So I thought that was an interesting data point of how coaching is now becoming a rewarding career. The last set of data that I have is about the female share, which is increasingly becoming an attention. So some of you who are associated with ICF or maybe familiar with ICF would know that there are more women coaches registered with ICF than men coaches, and it is becoming an alternate or a second career for that group who's looking at that kind of an intervention, that kind of a support. So women who are probably coming back from a maternity break are the ones that are taking this skill and investing in this skill. There are very women-specific agenda and women-specific empowerment coaches that have started to come up. So a lot of niche has been created in this segment for people to take. So just the data says that the female share in Asia has increased. However, in Asia, this is still the lowest globally in terms of the percentage, credentialed coaches that are participating. So these are some of the data points I wanted to begin with to highlight how, the career within the coaching space is transforming and changing, and how people have started to move towards finding a niche and providing a certain leverage using the technology. So I'm going to pause here for any thoughts, questions at this stage. And then there are a few more, like 3 or 4 more slides that I will cover, and then we can open up for more Q&A. But any initial thoughts or questions at this stage that you want to?
There are 3 questions in the chat box, but I think we can address them when we are in the end of the Q&A part.
Okay, perfect.
You may continue, yeah.
Sure. So I have this question that for the group here, for our participants. So question is, I want you to arrange in order of the most to least coaches. In which country do you see most coaches versus the least number of coaches, given the options are India, Singapore, North America, which is USA and Canada combined, and Hong Kong?
Interestingly, I was about to ask this question. Like it's more specific to India, but yeah.
Give it a shot, Jitendra, and we will share the data, some insights from the data that we have.
Sure. It looks like it's going to be the North America, Singapore, Hong Kong, and India.
Okay. Yeah, great. Thank you.
Anyone else would like to attempt? Yeah.
Okay. So the correct answer is North America, Singapore, India, and Hong Kong. However, if you look at the per capita, India is the lowest. The sheer amount of population, the sheer amount of companies, and the sheer amount of senior leaders that sit out of India, per company coach or per leader coach ratio is the lowest in India worldwide, which also is a big or a huge opportunity for experienced and credentialed coaches to start offering their services in the region. And when I say India, I also want to include Asia, because the numbers across Asia are quite low, India being the lowest. Sure, but again, purely driven by the per capita that we have. So yeah, I thought that was interesting. And
just to give a number here, Singapore is not even Bangalore, right? And Singapore, the number of coaches, credentialed coaches, are touching about 700 odd. India totally has about 900 credentialed coaches. And just for the benefit of everybody, there's a difference between a certified coach and a credentialed coach. For example, Jitendra is a credentialed coach. He is an ACC, which means Jitendra has a stamp which is globally acceptable, which means in ACC in India, is as good an ACC in US, right? And it doesn't mean that an Indian ACC is less vis-a-vis any other part. But essentially, it's important to know that there may be very many people, and Deepak Bharara asked that question, Chintan, in the chat box, that there are a whole lot of influx of experienced people coming into coaching, right? They may come. In fact, if you go to LinkedIn and put a coach search, you may find thousands of records there. They will outnumber the 900 credentialed coach, right? And therefore, it has become important that not only you become a coach, you become a credentialed coach. And we'll talk about that in a bit. Yeah, Deepak, you're right. You said 36 lakhs. I just was reading in the chat. Deepak, you mentioned what? Marshall for 36 lakhs in 2005-8, right? There are coaches who are available for 1,000 rupees per hour. Yes, Deepak, they may be available at 1,000 rupees per hour, but are they credentialed coaches? That is the key question. And how do you differentiate? We will talk about it in a bit. Yeah. But thank you for raising all these nice, great questions, Deepak. Thank you.
Deepak, my point is they are all certified coaches in the market, and they are all youngsters, you know, they want to practice somewhat. So they are ready to do at any cost.
Yeah, they are calling themselves coaches, but have they got the education, which is a requirement from ICF, like Jitendra is talking about, Deepak? You require a minimum amount of deep dive into this understanding and this skill. It is 64 hours of training. It is 100 hours of practice. You are then evaluated by independent assessors at the ICF end. Only then you get that ACC certification. Right?
But Deepak, I'm sitting on the other hand, as an HR professional, hiring consultants, it's very, very difficult to appreciate these very points, you know, because I'm a layman. I'm not a part of the coaching business.
Right. Therefore, what is also happening, if you notice, is all the HR professionals inside the organization, when they are going out to hire people, they are becoming more and more aware. So while you are right, today there may be very many people who are calling themselves coaches, but increasingly with more coaching coming into India, the trend seems to suggest that HR people will become more discerning about whom to hire. Right? Jitendra, what is your experience on that credentialing vis-a-vis some other people?
See, credential definitely helps.
You are on mute, Jitendra, I think.
Okay, can you hear me now?
I can hear you.
Yeah. So I think credential helps, okay, because that helps you because people takes you a little bit seriously. Even in my internal coaching, with credential being in place, okay, to be honest, more than my CHRO, I'm the one who is in demand. So whenever there is a coaching thing comes up, so my CHRO, we have these discussions, and I'm the one who is being sent. Why don't you be the coach? Even the CEO asked me to coach more often.
Right. Yeah. So I think this credentialing differentiates credentialing of being an ACC or a PCC or later MCC differentiates you from all these thousands of people who say we are coaches, because the understanding of coaching, as Chintan did in the earlier part, is also not there. If you ask somebody what is coaching, they'll say guidance, telling people what to do. But that's training, that's mentoring, that's not coaching, right? So yeah, that's why I think in India, it is a slow start, but now picking up a lot because people are getting to benefit from what coaching is. And therefore, the value of a credential coach will emerge.
Yeah. Also, Deepak, if I may add, okay, when we go through the credentialing, that's what my aha moment or understood what actually coaching is. Basically, it starts differentiating you from the there is a difference between mentoring, coaching, counseling. So coaching has a different flavor altogether, which otherwise I will not keep in mind, because more often than not we actually try to counsel or mentor and not coach.
Thank you, Jitendra. Thank you. Go ahead,
So in fact, we were talking about different scenarios. So I have a scenario here, and Deepak ji, this is probably part of this will address so assume some of you who are not credentialed coaches, assume that you have invested 1.25 lakhs and 6 months into your ACC credentialing. In your view, how much time can you recover this investment?
Can I go for it? Because
yes,
Yeah, because I have already recovered it. So, so it took me to recover. To be honest, in 3 months, I recovered the first one. Let's say the investment part of it. And now, I'm talking about, I'm doing maximum 20 hours in a month at this point of time. Okay,
Right.
which gives me approximately 1.2 lakhs per month.
Per month. Yeah.
Yeah,
Wow.
in 20 hours. I'm talking
20
about.
hours. Yeah.
That's
And
amazing.
you are still not, you are being an employee, you are not open to going and taking up any assignments. You may be you may be restricting yourself, right?
Yes, my timings are restricted. Saturday, Sundays, and after 7:30 p.m.
And 20 hours is, I heard you say, is giving you about 1 lakh plus revenue each month.
Yes.
Each month. Yeah. Great. Thank you, Jitendra. Anybody else? What is your view on how many clients and how much time it takes to recover your investment in this space? And this investment, I'm not talking about education only, but also becoming an ACC like Jitendra is. Yeah.
Deepak, it all depends on the client as to what kind of client you are pitching in and what kind of brand value you carry.
Wonderful. So you are
Okay.
saying now, what you're saying is that once you become an ACC, the segment that you address
That's
is going
right.
to be important. And
So
I think Deepak, you yourself mentioned that you hired more than 1.5 decade back Marshall Goldsmith for 36 lakhs per year for one
Yes.
assignment,
in
where you would
fact,
do
not
one session of 60 minutes with the GMR chairman, right?
right. Not only the Marshall, but we also had Damodaran, we had Daljit, we had Mr. Nair, Anil Nair for that matter. So there was a battery of Radhakrishnan for that matter. So there were around 6 coaches which we have hired for the leadership.
Right. So
And,
I'll give you a smaller example, Deepak, and for others. I invested 65,000 rupees in 2013 to
Right.
become a coach. And
Right.
when I came out, my last day was 17th May. On 1st of June, I signed my first client. Can you guess how much I signed it at that time, 2013? My first, I was not still ACC, I was still practicing. My first client gave me 1.2 lakh rupees in 6 months time. So I got my investment back, right?
I understand.
Like Jitendra said, yeah. So you are very right, Deepak. If you are able to position yourself well, which
That's
will
right.
get your visibility on LinkedIn, people know you and you are certified. Look, Marshall Goldsmith is a name, Radhakrishnan is a name. We may not be as big, but even if you are a small name and known in circles, you can get a lot of value of the time that you give as a coach.
Yeah, apart from ACC certification, I think the own personal brand, 40 years you have invested in corporate, working with CXOs, CEOs, that itself created a position of yours to get the market credibility.
It adds certainly, Deepak. But
Yes.
increasingly the trend which is coming up, Deepak, in this survey is that people who are 35, 36, 38 are also becoming coaches.
Right.
Jitendra, can I ask you a sensitive question? Your age. Jitendra.
Please.
You look, your age.
I'm 36.
And he is already coach for the last 3 years, if not more.
Yeah.
Right. And theoretically, even if Jitendra, you come out, you will still get clients. Come out of the organization and start independently, you can get clients. So to Deepak Bharara, the question now is that sometimes longevity. Today, the type of clients I get after 8 years of coaching, when I quit, I was 44, right? I'm now 56. Now I get much better clients because of that investment I made being a coach in the last 8 years.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, so it becomes like they say, na, Sone pe suhaga. Your work
Yes.
on top of that, the coaching experience.
Deepak, the beauty of this profession is that there's no retirement age here. The more you grow, you can even earn at the age of 75, 80 also.
In fact, there is another data I had put out from the report on LinkedIn that people who are above 60 in US market, in India, coaching is still new. There are 9% people who are above the age of 60 in US North America market who are still operating. They may be 70 years old. And you are right. There is no retirement age for this because now that you see what Chintan shared, virtual, I can coach a chap sitting in Canada. I don't have to, right? Virtual has also exploded in a major way because of pandemic and therefore higher potential to create business.
In fact, I just give you one data point. In America, in last 2 weeks, there are 7 million resignations and people want to work as a gig worker because most of them are being forced to come into the office. So they said, oh, we prefer to work from home and operate as a gig worker rather than maybe as a coaches or maybe as a mentor or a consultant. We don't want to come to for 8 hours, 10 hours job.
Huge potential, huge potential. Yeah.
7 million jobs, resignations in last 2 weeks.
Right. Chintan,
So just coming back to, you know, the credentialed coaches, but I won't name the for confidentiality, but there's this very large corporate who was doing a similar analysis, Deepak sir, for their leadership, right from the CEO to 2 levels below. About 60 people were to be coached, and they invited applications from the whole of Asia. Their first criteria for filtering was, are they credentialed coaches?
Right.
And the second criteria was how many years of experience they have. So that automatically filtered a lot of people who had no credentialing behind them. And that is what is being seen increasingly in India. So credentialing coaches are getting more business, but recognition in the market.
Appreciate.
Yeah, thank you, sir. So yes, somebody who is absolutely new in this space, how much should they charge? Okay, just continuing with our scenario, said we've invested 1.25 lakhs, 75 paid hours. It could be much more, but say at a minimum 75. The cost is as low as 1650 per session. And anything, so by the time you complete your training and credentialing process, which takes about 3 to 6 months, you have already recovered your investment during the training process itself. And then post training, it is
today fresh coaches are finding a lot of market in these MBA colleges, because there is a field emerging called career coaching, and a lot of these people can get into that space and create value, create brand for themselves.
Yeah. Deepak, just to add, you know, even in the corporate, like for example, we launched something called career coaching. Like, you know, there is on 16th September, Amazon is actually having a career coaching day,
right,
across the world. Okay,
right.
Yeah, that's going to even in corporate, because you know, as I think Deepak sir talked about that, you know, where so many resignations are happening. So we as a corporate, we want people to, you know, engage in the organization.
Wonderful. And that's a way to even help them take a very conscious career decision.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Right.
absolutely. So just talking about career coaching is one niche. The other day, a colleague of mine and us, we were trying to list down the kind of niche that we see in the coaching space. We could list 60 and it was not over. So there's so many niche areas that have started to emerge within the coaching space. Parental coaching, career coaching, business coaching, executive coaching are just the names that we have heard, but there are so many areas. Relationship coaching. People used to go to counselors and therapists in the past, but a lot of people who now are aware of this skill realize that those professions focus on the past, whereas they want to focus on the future, and that's where coaches come into play. So there are over 60 different niche areas within the coaching space that has emerged, and most likely this number will continue to grow. So that becomes another opportunity for somebody who wants to look at career as a coaching as a career. The niche is going to play a big role in future. Just continuing with our post-training certifications, it is, if you want to put a number in terms of rate, and some of you, we've already discussed some numbers, it would totally depend on how much the client would benefit in 60 minutes or 90 minutes in that one session, and that should be the charge. It varies hugely within India itself. It could be as low as 5,000. It could be as high as, you know, a really, really big 5-digit, 6-digit number. Sometimes it goes into 6 digits as well. So the opportunity is huge. I'll move towards conclusion. I do want to leave some time for you know, some more discussion. I think we've had great discussion so far. So one of the things that is being realized is everybody can be coached, and which opens up opportunities not necessarily within the corporate space, but even in non-corporate space. there is this increasing trend in the mid segment, not the large corporates, but the mid segments, their managers and their franchises offering coaching to their sales professionals, so on and so forth. So there's this increasing trend in the mid segment now. Coaching is already showing signs of going retail. When I say going retail, I mean that there will be many more in the next few years who will become credentialed coaching. So hence the demand is definitely there. And right now we don't have enough coaches to cater to the demand. And this would also mean like colleges and campuses, like Deepak mentioned, have career coaches. There will, like in the past, there used to be counselors in each campus. Now there will be coaches in each campus. So it is going to be retail, and there will be huge demand for coaches compared to counselors, because the view is, past versus future. That's what is the key here within the coaching career. So just trying to summarize some of the things that we have discussed. With acceptance of virtual way of working, coaching is no longer a geographic challenge. If you can offer yourself in a different time zone or flexible hours, people are taking coaching from coaches who don't come from the same culture. And that is the increasing trend. They want somebody who's very neutral to not only the industry, but also the culture. So geographic boundaries have gone away. As of last year, this coaching industry alone was reported to be 2 billion with an average estimated income of $50,000, and this continues to increase year on year. Coaching works. There are millions of testimonials on the internet. ICF has gathered about 2,000 plus clients and their testimonials to validate this data. Right now, there are only 17% eligible coaching or coachable population who is taking coaching. There is 83% coachable population who is not being offered coaching or not taking coaching, which is a huge potential. This is worldwide. And within this 17%, 43% population was not even aware what coaching offers before they started getting into coaching. So imagine if this was 43% within the 17%, how much market exists within this 83%. The role of coach and the coaching is going to increase, and it will continue to evolve. It is still in India, it is still at a very nascent stage. It will continue to evolve. The coaches will mature in their own approaches, in their own philosophy. So to conclude, the future is amazingly bright. Specifically in Asia, I want to focus on Asia because the North American market is starting to see a flat curve in its offering. But within Asia, this market has huge potential. So the future of coaching is bright. So this is where I will pause for thoughts, questions, before I hand it back to Deepak.
So what we can do, Chintan, is there are these questions that are already in the chat box. What we can do is we can move ahead. Let me share quickly from a Phronimos perspective that like Deepak was asking this question about experienced coaches. So what we are in the business of is helping people become credentialed coaches. And that's the differentiation we want to create. We don't want to create just coaches. We want to create credentialed coaches so that there is at least ACC. In case any one of you are interested in knowing more about the program, which begins in November, the next batch, please let us know. And there is a special scholarship for anybody who's attending our today's webinar for that program. So let me know separately. You can drop in your interest right now and I can get in touch with you. You have my email ID in any case. Yeah.
Deepak, if I remember correctly, you're also looking at offering PCC in short term?
Yeah, of course, PCC. People who want to go up to PCC can also begin with us in the same program and graduate into PCC. And we will give you more details about what is required, right? So we can stop the slides now. We don't have any more slides and we can come on the main thing. And I will just take up the questions, Chintan, which I have come so far, right? one of the things that has come to first question which came was from Jitendra. Jitendra is an internal coach, internal employee, and he says, how do I get outside coaching? Yes, Jitendra, that was your question.
Yes, like how do I, expand it? So right now I'm doing with, like, say, we have all these apps, coaching apps. Through them, I do a couple of sessions, let's say 20.
Chintan, your thoughts on that?
Leveraging social media is the key. So what, I think Deepak ji mentioned earlier that the brand in the market, how do you move towards creating a brand for yourself? The brand is going to attract you. Already have a credential next to you. So in one will, I would say, move towards creating a brand for yourself. Leverage social media, if required, invest either in digital marketing, your own brand, or invest in, I don't know if you have other credentials like a psychometric or something that next to you.
I have Marshall Goldsmith stakeholder coach, and in fact, I wanted to go for Hogan, but then I was in 2 months because I'm actually under transition. I'm joining as a CHRO of a startup next month. I thought I'll do it after I join there.
That will certainly add. Having a credential, psychometric credential like Hogan is widely accepted within the leadership space. So having that and then focus, and if you are already becoming the CHR or the brand is coming to you, how do you increase that brand? I think that's going to be the key. And once you have that brand, the digital presence, don't focus just towards connecting or networking in India, start focusing towards networking worldwide. Like we said, with the virtual way of working, opportunities are worldwide.
Yeah.
So the top 3 things from my side, digital.
I'll just add, Jitendra, is that even before becoming a brand, there is a stage, and I call it discoverability. Today, if somebody is looking for a coach in Hyderabad, do they know that Jitendra is available? Right?
Yes.
Which means leveraging social media, but writing blogs and updates. And what I used to do in 2013 when I quit was I would take a coaching conversation alive, convert it into a fictional conversation without taking the name because of confidentiality, and put a small blog. And that started to attract attention because I was out of job in any case, right? I was doing independent work. I wanted more people to know, right? The other thing I did, and maybe can be done by you, is that let your network know. I used to talk to 4 people each day and tell them, I'm a coach, I'm a coach, I'm a coach, I'm a coach. And then 6 months later, I started getting inquiries from some of them, not all of them, some of them. And that's how I started running. So there are many, many more practices, and I'll be in touch with you separately. I've seen your requirement also in the module about you are looking at ACC for from your wife perspective and PC for yourself. I'll be in touch with you separately, and we can talk more about it. Yeah. Thank you.
Just a quick one. I just wanted to add. My current client mostly comes outside India, actually. So it's mostly from Japan, Philippines, US, and Canada.
Amazing.
And Australia. Yeah.
Wonderful. Yeah.
Amazing. So you're already tapping that market. Leverage it. Get them to do testimonials for you, which you could post out, which will attract more. Tag them when you do testimonials. It attracts.
Thank you.
Yeah. Anything else, Jitendra, you wanted to say?
No, I think all good at this point of time. Yeah.
Then Nikhil Pawar has a question. He's a young guy, 23 years old. He is getting his diploma in training and development. He's an engineer. He has 3-4 years work experience. So he wanted to know, what does coaching, how can he become a coach? Am I right, Nikhil? Is that your question? Nikhil, where is he?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Oh, he's there, yeah.
So Nikhil, I'll try and answer a question, modify this a little. How do you become a credentialed coach? Okay, like we're talking, credentialed coach has more value. So usually looking at an ICF framework, there is you will have to enroll into a certification program which is approved by ICF. They take you through a journey of into what coaching offer coaching. There are specific models, there are specific learnings that you have to first absorb and then practice. So at an ACC level, it is expected that you do 100 hours of coaching practice, and this could be with any adult. Okay, so if you are in this training space, and if you can offer it to your own peer group within the campuses or your own friends, 100 hours, because the 100 hours is primarily to get you mature in your skill. Okay, it's not that you have to do it 100 hours and it's done. It is basically a one way to mature your learning and become better at what you have learned by demonstrating. So that is what ICF asks. You mature into your skill, and post that you become a coach. Again, please do reach out to Deepak. Phrenemos does a fantastic job of credentialing coaching. Deepak can help you with an ACC PCC program as well.
Nikhil. So let me know, and I can drop you an email with our program, and we can talk, Nikhil, on that. We can educate you more so that you can take a more conscious decision.
True.
But like I think Chintan said or showed earlier, there is no age to become a coach. Increasingly, it is becoming evident because it is almost like a life skill now, coaching. It will help you even if you go back into a job as a good, effective manager or a leader. And there's a coaching style is a most effective style of leading teams, right? So it has many, many other benefits. Right, Nikhil? Have you
Okay,
answered?
sir.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Welcome.
Deepak, your question, you had raised them. We probably they have got addressed or not. Is there any part, Deepak, we have not addressed? If you can share that, and then we can talk about it.
No, I think most of the questions have been addressed.
Addressed.
The rest is all practice and experience, which we have to go in the market and explore.
Right. So what happens with experience also is that when we run a program, Deepak, and for Nikhil, we have a batch of 10, 12 people. We do at Phrenemos, we don't take a bigger batch because we want to give focused feedback. Feedback is essential on the practice. Practice is not happening, maybe happening offline, but a lot of practice, 50% of the time that we are in training is happening in front of faculty. So we give feedback to people so that they improve. So that's the key part of any program. So practice, which is called deliberate practice, is what we specialize at Phrenemos. Only that then will allow you to be assessed independently by ICF and get your ACC credential. Thank you, Deepak, for that. We have Vijay and Shivani. If you have any question, you have not put it down, or any query or anything that you want me to help you with, you can speak now or put it into the chat box. Okay. I don't think they have anything to ask or share. Fair enough. With this, we come to the end of the program, end of the session. And thank you, Chintan, for this. I thought the way you brought up the data, some bit was new to me as well. And I'm seeing much bigger picture now of coaching industry in India than I was previously seeing. But I'm also surprised by this influx of women. 60 to 70% women coaches. I think it also aligns with the fact that they are more naturally empathetic, maybe more naturally non-judgmental, right? And for them to, Jitendra is smiling. People who are married may not agree with it, but yeah. So
Deepak, you are carrying your own biases actually.
Biases, yeah. But I think one thing which I'm seeing, Deepak, Jitendra, and other is that when Deepak, you said 5 billion people. I'm sure being US, there are 50% are women.
Yes.
Women will find it much easier to take on this because then it gives them the freedom to manage home and other responsibilities with continuing to use their skills and adapt to this world, right?
Yeah.
And
Deepak, one more thing. In fact, there's no retirement age, as I've said, but there are no boundaries as well because we can expose to the world over.
Exactly. And look at Jitendra. He says all his clients are not in India, they're in Japan and Canada, and they're different nationalities.
Right.
Right.
So that's the beauty of this profession.
Beauty of this profession, yeah. Because it is sector agnostic. Coaching means that I could, like for example, I worked in oil industry, but I have coached CEOs, CFOs of BFSI industry, tech, IT industry. I don't need to understand that, which is the case with mentoring. So it becomes a much bigger field. That's why this data that 83% population in the world has not experienced coaching.
Coachable population. We are not looking at everybody. We are looking at people who may require coaching. And with that 83%.
All I'm saying is, Chintan, if even 10% decide to take coaching, then there is a potential for coaches.
Then coaches will start to see a burnout.
Yeah. So great, Chintan. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you, everyone. Jitendra, Deepak, Vijay, Shivani, Islam. Islam, you couldn't talk because of your technical issue, but drop me an email. We will be more than happy to address anything that you have to. ask of us, right? And we look forward to staying in touch with you. If you want any specific report, any information around psychometric, anything around coaching, feel free to drop me a message. We will be more than happy to help you go forward, take whatever decisions you want to take in making coaching a career, a rewarding career for yourself.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Deepak.
Thank you, Chintan.
And
Thank you.
Bye-bye,
Thank you
JD.
so much. Thank you.
Nice
Really nice
connecting with you.
interacting with you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.